Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Kaiju Kingdom podcast. I am your host, Chris Eaton, and joining me today is
Arian, what's up, guys? How you guys been? It's been a minute.
Arian is. If you guys don't listen to Kamen Kaizers, he's.
What do you mean you guys don't listen to Kamen Kaizers?
You should be listening.
What's going on? What are you guys doing?
Yes. Sometimes some people like Coke, some people like Pepsi, and then there's some people that just like RC Cola. But those are a chosen few. And
I like
sometimes
RC
Cola is good, actually. I love me a good RC Cola. It's the independent soda, as I call it, because it's competing with those other two, but it's not Dr. Pepper, and it's not. Yeah.
At least we're not Dr.
It's just
Thunder.
a cola. Oh, that's the sad Dr. Pepper.
Or what's it called? Mountain Mist, or what's the off-brand?
Oh, there's Dr. Thunder, and then Mountain Mist or something, like some crappy knockoff of Mountain Dew. Did you know Mountain Dew was originally made as a mixer for it was like a whiskey sour mix?
Oh, really? I think I'm going to try that. I'm not a Mountain Dew guy.
I'm not ashamed to say I have tried it, and it kind of works.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah. Maybe want to try with smoother whiskey, maybe a nice scotch or something. Nothing too expensive.
You know what I had? Have you ever had what do they call them? Moro Coco Moro? It's Sprite with wine.
Sprite with wine, yes, I have had that. My brother has made that. It's
delicious.
It is the king of the one of the many kings of the white trash drinks.
Yes.
Yes. Very much so. You got a lonely Friday night, get some wine, get some Sprite, and you're going to have a good time.
Yes.
But we digress, talking about alcoholic beverages. We are all adults here. Some of us more than others. I'm going to be 40 in 3 weeks.
Hey. Will this be out before then?
Do what?
Will this be out before then?
Oh, yes. This will be out later. I think we're recording this on a Thursday. You'll probably hear it at the very least by Sunday.
For sure.
So, and the reason why we are recording, Arian, today is February 1st as of this recording. Yes. We're recording at 10 o'clock at night on the West Coast, which means that the shining light that is Godzilla -1 is flickering for the last time in its theatrical run. So the last, at least in my area, I'm in the greater LA area. Arian's down in San Diego. And the last couple of showings are going off right now. And then, bye-bye. But this is not a sad occasion. This is a momentous occasion. In 2 months, it's been 2 months, technically 3 months since the movie came out. Close to 3 months. But 2 months here in the U.S. Could not have imagined the reception that this movie got. I mean, even when I was sitting in Japan watching it, and yes, that is me kind of rubbing in a little bit.
We get it.
You got to see Shin Kamen Rider. I got to see Godzilla -1. So we each got one.
Fair trade.
Even then, like I knew this movie was something. It looked gorgeous. And I kind of got the basic rundown of the film. It was, like I said in a couple other podcasts, it wasn't until both Jessica and shout out to my good friend Kazuki broke it down like, the main guy's a failed kamikaze pilot. I'm like, I did not know that. That was I couldn't understand that in the language barrier, but apparently yes. And like that adds a whole new dimension to that movie, which was already what I thought a pretty good movie. Seen it with the subtitles, yes. This is not a standard Godzilla movie. This is something special. I kind of said the same thing about Shin Godzilla. Once I finally I watched it twice in the same weekend, and that second time I walked out, I'm like, no, this movie's a lot better, I think, than people are even giving it. But it is a very Japanese film. Like it hits closer to home for the Japanese audience than it would for American audiences, but it's still like this is a sound movie.
Are you talking about Shin or Minus?
Shin.
Got it.
So we're Minus. When I walked out that second time, once I finally got the rest of the movie, like knowing the characters' names and everything, I'm like, this thing has like a very Spielbergian feel to it. Now I'm talking like mid '80s Spielberg, like at his prime. Like there's a sense of wonderment and excitement. It's like it is a very cinematic film. Like I still can't get past how cinematic it is, and that's the reason why, or at least one of the reasons why we're talking about it today. Because for its last week, Toho released the black and white version, Godzilla Minus One, and I watched it. Arian watched it, and Arian had not gotten a real good chance to give his thoughts on the movie. I think we briefly talked about it on Kamen Kaizers, but we didn't go too deep because I think we were talking about a giant mechanical dinosaur of some sorts. I think that was the episode we were doing, Robosaurus.
Right.
Yeah. Right. So I wanted to get him on. We're gonna break down, because Arian's a bit of a movie nerd as well, and discuss on its final day the kind of the differences, the feel of what Godzilla Minus One Minus Colored had to offer. And is it a gimmick, or is it a testament to what some would argue a better time of cinema in the noir era? So, Arian, I'm going to pass this over to you for a minute. Give me your thought. Give me your full thoughts on Godzilla Minus One.
So,
in general,
off the bat, I love. The first thing you see is the old Showa era Toho logo in black and white. How you would see Godzilla raids again in '54, and I was like, "Oh, that's nice." And then it cuts right into. I mean, we've all seen Minus One, so spoilers are fine.
I think at this point, everybody who wanted to see it has seen it.
Got it. Have you gone to the theater to go see? I know you went to see what's the Del Toro movie?
Nightmare Alley.
Yeah, you saw that one. What else have you seen in black and white?
I have seen. I've watched The Mist, but that wasn't in theaters. That was on a DVD only version. So The Mist in black and white. I've seen Mad Max Fury Road, the Blood and Chrome version. I completely forgot Zack Snyder put out a black and white version of his Justice League movie. I don't have HBO Max anymore, so I've not had a chance to watch it, because that one I'm curious about, because that's how the movie existed for like 4 years on his laptop. It wasn't color timed or anything like that, so it was just in black and white. So and when he would release those images of like Darkseid and the stuff that was all shown in the original trailer that got cut up before Whedon came in, I was like, man, this looks interesting. So that is the only. Oh no, I didn't see Parasite in black and white either. Parasite had a black and white version too. Someone reminded me of that online. But in Logan. I have seen Logan in black and white. Yes, Logan Noir, as they call it. I do love me some black and white movies. Like I'm a movie buff. There's some fantastic movies that are in black and white.
When you say you like black and white movies, you like movies from the 40s and 50s, or you like re-releases in black and white?
Both. There's plenty. Look, I love King Kong to death. I still think King Kong is just absolutely pure cinema. I go back and watch Kong usually every March for like on the anniversary of its release. I love that Kong to death. It's the best one. And next to my top 3 Kong movies are that. It's the original Godzilla and Kong and Skull Island. Those, I love all the other Kong movies. Some are better, some are worse, but those 3 stand the test of time for me. But that original, there's just something about like seeing stop motion in black and white. there's something about when you watch it. When you watch an old movie, you get a sense of the time and place. It's like watching Terminator 2 today. There's no cell phones. There's no like computers. There's not laptops everywhere. Like it is very much the beauty about it being in its time and place that it remains in this capsule and thus kind of remains timeless in its own right. Like I can watch Kong realizing this is the 1930s. Like it's and it still holds up tremendously. But then again, I'm also a little bit of a snob, and I love me stuff like Tetsuo the Iron Man, which is completely avant-garde and shot in black and white, mostly because I think Tsukamoto just didn't have the money to make that thing in color. But in black and white just makes it so much. It's a far different movie. If that thing was in color, I don't think it would be the movie it is today. Much like if
Right.
David Lynch did Eraserhead in color.
So with that note, Godzilla minus one is a color movie. You know the quote, there's movies in color and then color movies.
Mm-hmm.
Godzilla minus one definitely is a color movie. It's a movie.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you lose a little bit out of the black and white? Yeah, you do. It's beautiful to look at. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. It's a time period. It fits right in. It doesn't take you out of the movie, but knowing that it's a movie in color, when you see what do you call the Odo Island Godzilla, when you see him pop out,
Yeah, is that what we're giving his? Is that pretty much his official name at this point? Odo Island Godzilla.
that's what I've been calling him. Odo, I think
I think
Wu
that's.
era or so, what's the
I just call him the Godzilla Source because
Godzilla
that's what he
source? Fine,
is.
it's fine with me.
Yeah.
When you see that is beautiful. It's shot. It's dark, and you
Yeah.
you see him moving kind of back and forth around, kind of like a little unpredictable because you don't know what you're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
That sequence is a lot better in black and white, but the sequences of Godzilla in the daytime, not.
There's a point of me. There's a part of me that does agree with you. There is something with modern effects that don't exactly gel with black and white.
Yeah.
Like I said, the of the black and white movies I have watched, like Nightmare Alley, I will only watch the black and white version
So
because that has a tremendous effect on the movie. And I start watching it in color. I'm like, I can't watch it this way. I got to watch it in black and white because that is definitely a noir movie. I would say for 95% of Godzilla minus one, because of the time frame it takes in, much like Nightmare Alley, I would say that the black and white works.
Yes.
But I will agree with you wholeheartedly that the modern effects stuff, mostly like Godzilla, when he's attacking, and some of the destruction sequences, because of their CG nature, don't pop like they do in color. So and it kind of shines a light on the overall effect that they're giving off. Like if it was the suit, like if they had managed to do something like that, like because I'm still waiting for this day. I'm waiting for the day when someone combines CG and the suits, kind of like the Where the Wild Things Are movie, where they kind of were partially suits, but like the heads and faces were like CG'd and stuff like that. I still think that there's a happy medium to be had with these movies with that kind of mentality. That said, when you're doing all CG, it's shines a harsher light in black and white than it would in color. Then one would argue the suits. I mean, we have two black and white Godzilla movies to compare this one to, and they were shot in black and white. I mean, there's the original, and then there's Raids Again, and suits just blend better with the lack of color. It's just something about it.
when I say it doesn't pop, or when I say it kind of loses its shine, is specifically during the Ginza sequence.
Very
When
much so.
the stuff on the boat, the stuff in the
Hmm.
water, it's fine. It's
The
the
battleships, the attack, the boat chase, that
yeah,
actually looked pretty. That still to me, that is the highlight of the movie of
yeah,
how great those effects look.
yes,
Like that looks like that was a giant prop that they had in the water at times. I'm like, that's how good those effects are.
yeah.
Um, when he attacks the was it the taco? Not the
Takao, yeah, something like that. Takao.
yeah, yeah, the taco. That looks pretty good. Um, but yeah, the Giza attack. It's mostly the wide shots more than anything else.
Hmm.
Like just the up looking up shots. I mean, when he gets shelled the first time, when he's about ready to when he's like encroaching on everyone, and you get that he's shelled and he comes out of the smoke before
Hmm.
he revs up the atomic breath. Like that looked good, but then you get to the atomic breath sequence, and it's there's a hearty amount of destruction. Yeah, it kind of loses a little bit, but like when the black rain comes down, everything then it pick. That's the problem. There's a little bit
It's
of
different.
inconsistency.
Yeah,
All the human stuff, which again, like 70% of this film hinges on that, looks amazing though. And
yeah.
I will argue this: I do believe that there actually was some tweaking done, mostly with the airplane sequences. I swear to God, there's like two or three shots when we're in the cockpit and we see the scenery going by. It looks like the old school back projection, kind of like how they used to do. Like think of like in Raids
Yeah,
Again
yeah,
when
yeah,
you
yeah.
see them like going, yeah, the weird back projection. I'm like that looks like a whole different shot in of itself. That doesn't look like it was from the color version. So the problem is there's no physical media I can compare it to at the moment. So I can't do a complete compare and contrast, but I 90% sure that scene was tweaked to make it look like much more of a period movie. But I might just be nuts. Who knows?
The the sequence that pops out to me, the human sequence, is when they're having dinner
Mm-hmm.
at sorry, what's the main character's name?
Uh, um, just watched it on
The
Monday.
kamikaze pilot.
Yeah, Sheena. I should have had this pulled up. But yes, yeah, at his house. When they find out that he and Horiko aren't married, right? That one.
Right, right.
Yeah,
That looks like any scene from Raids Again or 54, or all the human stuff looks fine. It looks great. It looks,
yeah.
yeah. It
I would even
fits.
argue. I would say that the because I know what Yamakaze is going for. Like this is the mentality directors. You're going for mood and atmosphere of what black and white can offer. I mean, there is ways to handle lighting with just the monochrome that can really add depth to certain things. Like I said, when I watched Mad Max Fury Road in black and white, that was one of those cases where I went, you know what? No, this
Mhm.
movie's so saturated in color, even though it's very deserty. Like it's not adding anything like that. That's a movie that works better in color than black and white. Where Logan worked in black and white, I felt. Um, Here, like it does feel like Yamakaze's kind of flexing the film nerd in him a little bit because he's talked about in interviews. He's like, this wasn't just a desaturation. We went frame by frame and we tweaked some things, and everything was color timed perfectly. So, but there's still some shots that look a little brighter. It looked like they might have rushed on them a little bit. Um, the one that stands out to me is the tanks, and I think it's because the tanks in the movie are probably the worst. I hate to say worst CG, but it kind of is like the 1940s tanks that they're using to
Yeah.
shell Godzilla. And it's no, I don't, it's not really a big deal because the rest of the movie looks absolutely stunning. But those, I'm just like, oh, that felt like that was the last thing on the list. And now Kazi's like, it's 3 seconds. Like,
Right.
we need to we need to make the final battle look as good as possible. So that's forgivable. But there's spots like that. The final the boat
Yeah.
attack, not the second one, the campaign to sink him.
Hmm.
That actually looked pretty great. All the
Yeah.
water, like
Yeah.
that's the thing. In black and white, the water effects stand out so much better for some reason. I really sat there and appreciated. I watched this twice. I saw it again Friday,
In
and
black and white.
then yeah, the black and white one. Went out with a few friends, and my buddy George, who we're gearing up to restart our old podcast. And he's like, you know what, we should do Godzilla. I haven't seen Godzilla. Everyone keeps talking about it. And I'm like, yeah, you should see it. We got one more week. Let's go. So we went Monday. And mind you, he's not like, the man loves his movies. He's not a Godzilla guy. He's joined me for the new movies, like all the American ones. And he's had to sit there and get an ass full of my Godzilla knowledge dropped on him all the time. So, to be fair, I do a revenge for him making fun of my taste in music, but that's what friends do. So, um, we prefer our deluxe formats, so we went and saw it at Cinemark, and they had it at XD. I actually saw it twice in XD. The first time, the damn speakers were kind of blown out, so it did feel like I was watching an old movie at times because there were those pops that happen in like those old. I'm like, is that an aesthetic choice? And then towards the end, I'm like, no, that's someone turned the subwoofer up too loud and they blew it out. So the second time was much nicer because then I got the wonderful surround sound that accompanies this movie, so you can hear the soundtrack and everything. And I felt bad because it was the only one they were showing was the black and white version. And he's like, you know what, George was like, I'll work through it. Wrapped up, I turned to him. I'm like, what'd you think? He's like, even in black and white, that is a fantastic movie. I'm like, yes, I told you. So, on that, real quick, side tangent, Arian, you're amongst the Covenant, the Godzilla fans. We are how do I put this? We are a self-flogging bunch, if you will, because we have all decided we love this world of big rubbery monsters. And a lot of times they get thrown off into the fact that like this is just B cinema, these are nothing. How does it feel to be living at a time where not only is there just an abundance of Godzilla stuff, there's an American arm of Godzilla stuff, but that people who would not whiff a fart in the general direction of a Japanese Godzilla movie are going out, watching this movie, and praising it. How does that feel to you?
Makes me proud to be a Godzilla fan.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice. It's nice. It's never. It's weird when people take Godzilla seriously that aren't Godzilla fans. It's weird seeing Godzilla being nominated for an Oscar. That's a very weird feeling on this side of the fandom.
Yeah.
It's still is crazy to me that you can walk into a Target and buy a Godzilla toy.
Yes.
It's
never
weird
my wildest dreams.
It's weird that there's a 24-hour Godzilla channel that you can just watch at all time. Like Godzilla being in the same realm of Batman and Spider-Man and all these other names. He's always been there, and I think people are more accepting of like, oh yeah, Godzilla, Batman, Spider-Man. Like, of course, this is just another one of these recognizable faces.
I mean, it only took 70 years. And again, the other thing. Again, it feels all kismet, doesn't it? It's the 70th anniversary, and just this wide stream praise of this little Japanese movie. Well, not little by Japanese standards. I mean, it's a big movie by Japanese standards. So that's the thing I don't think a lot of people haven't been grasping or making a very big deal out of, considering I think the budget, they finally released like a general ballpark of the budget, which is closer to, I think, to like 10.5 million US than the 15.
Wow. And it's gone how much? 100 and something? 100 and change
It
at this
crossed
point?
100 this past week. So I think it's going to wrap up its worldwide theater run at $103 million,
Hey,
which is
congratulations.
bonkers. Bonkers. I think it's like the second highest grossing I think it's the number one highest grossing Japanese movie in America, and I think it's like the third highest grossing foreign film. I think it beat out Parasite a week and
Okay.
a half ago. So, yeah, again, like last thing I ever expected. You know, at the very moment, like I said, when Shin came out, I'm like, man, like Ano really like he made a thinking man's Godzilla. Like and again, much like my weird, musings on Godzilla 2000, I'm like, you guys went away for almost 5 years, and this is the story you come back with. Like, okay, interesting choice. Uh, I didn't expect Hideki Anno and Shinji Iguchi to make a Godzilla movie about the follies of bureaucracy. That was the last thing I expected, but I still there's that's I love the crap out of that movie. I do love Shin God. Like that movie really grew on me in the last couple of years. Like I do love the hell out of it. This one though, this is so much more accessible, and the more I watch it, like I don't know, I'm weird as a moviegoer sometimes because, and I was this way when um the aforementioned Mad Max Fury Road came out. I was looking forward to that movie. I went in, I sat down, I watched it, got up, I'm like, you know what, that was fun. But I don't know. I think I was expecting something else. I think I was expecting more Road Warrior than something a little more in between Mad Max and Road Warrior, just on a giant budget. And then all I heard was people praising this movie like it's like we've never seen anything like this. Oh, it's so great. I'm like, it's a chase movie. It's fun. But in the years since, it's that hype yourself up and you set yourself up for disappointment. I've now gone back. I literally just rewatched it last night because I'm like, I've come to like this movie a lot more than I myself was giving it credit for initially. Going into -1 the first time, and I think I said this on the podcast, like being up for 28 hours as I'm watching it for the first time in a foreign language that there's no English whatsoever except for maybe like one clip in the middle somewhere, and Jessica next to me constantly needing to elbow me so I can stay awake. I walked down like, yes, that was a good movie, but I don't know if it's praiseworthy at this moment. No, I walked away and I went back and I watched it. I'm like, okay, yes, this is definitely praiseworthy. And the more I watch it, like I've seen it 5 times now, and I still won't say it's my favorite Godzilla movie. I probably wouldn't even say it's my third favorite Godzilla movie, but in the overall echelon of things, it's a damn good Godzilla movie. Like, I don't think, barring like Guillermo del Toro getting his hands on Godzilla, which we can all dream. We can all dream. I think he would do something magical with Godzilla. I don't think.
Oh,
I know people are like, well, he did Pacific Rim. He did Pacific Rim to the homage of the idea of the Showa Godzilla movies and Ultraman.
look,
I think he
look,
would do something different with Godzilla.
look. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Mm-hmm.
But you can also love something too much, like
This is
Peter
true.
Jackson, King Kong.
Oh yes, you can, but that's obsession.
Yeah.
I do have a theory about this. I have so there are auteurs. There are filmmakers that are truly true auteurs, like Guillermo del Toro. He's an auteur. And every once in a while, an auteur has this passion project that they are dead set on getting made. And sometimes they get very close to making it, and then it falls away from them. And then they'll come back to it, but they're not letting it go. They're like, I will make this. I will make this. And then they come back to almost 5, 10, 15, 20 years later, and then they finally get to do it, and it's never the original version that they had in their head. Peter Jackson, that was King Kong for him. Like, he almost made King Kong in 1996. And then it was taken away from him. And then he's like, I'm going to make Lord of the Rings. And then everyone's like, well, what do you want to make? I want to make King Kong, but now I got Lord of the Ring, money behind me. So I'm going to make my King Kong the way I want to make it. None of this 90-minute nonsense. We're going full 2.5 hours. And nothing's leaving the cutting floor. Same thing with Terry Gilliam, another favorite filmmaker of mine, and his Don Quixote movie. Famously was shooting for, I think, 3 days, and they got shut down. He finally made it like 15 years later. A little disappointing. The great George Miller, Mad Max. He was trying to make this Genie movie that came out last year. 1,000 Years of Longing. Yes. It's a damn good movie until you get to the third act. And then the third act, it kind of falls apart. Same thing with David Cronenberg. Both Miller and Cronenberg, within a 2-month span, had these movies they spent the last better part of a decade to 15 years trying to make. Cronenberg was doing Crimes of the Future. I love David Cronenberg. Absolutely love David Cronenberg. So I'm like, first movie in like 10 years that he's done that isn't like, it's going back to like the body horror Cronenberg, not the Viggo Mortensen era. I'm doing these noir film Cronenbergs, and watching it, the movie ends without a third act, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, this is so damn frustrating. So, yes, you were truly right. There's such a thing as loving a thing too much that sometimes you gotta let it go. Francis Ford Coppola has a movie coming out later this year. Francis Ford Coppola, I don't think he hasn't made a movie in almost 12 years. And that last movie was a terrible, terrible movie called Twix. Oh. What?
I thought the last movie he did was Dracula.
No.
Godfather 3.
Francis Ford Coppola made the timeless classic that is the Robin Williams movie Jack. People forget he made that movie. Yes, that is his movie.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Is it great? Not by a long shot, but when you're 12 and you're watching, it's pretty fun. I think there's that era when directors are like, I'm more than the thing I've done. That's like when Sam Raimi was making that baseball movie. And
what?
Yeah. Do you remember For Love of the Game?
A Kevin Costner movie?
Yes, that's Sam Raimi.
Really?
And the same year, I think, the same year or year after, Wes Craven makes that violin movie.
Oh, the one with Samuel Jackson?
Yeah. Oh, no. That not that one. No. That's the Red Violin. No, he made a different violin movie with, I want to say, Meryl Streep. I think it was Meryl Streep. I forgot the name of it off the top of my head, but yeah. Like, there was a moment where all these guys were like, I don't want to do horror anymore. I kind of want to show I have more things to do. And I think for Coppola, it was like, give me a check, I'll work with Robin Williams, and I can show you can make a comedy. No, you can't, Francis. You cannot make, even as an unintentionally funny that Godfather 3 is, you can't make a comedy. So there's certain things certain people should just stick to. But not for Takashi Yamakaze. No, the man, have you seen, how many of other Yamakaze movies have you seen?
I've seen one other Yamakaze movie, and that is Returner.
So you haven't had a chance to watch the Always movies.
You know what? Let me make sure that's a Yamakaze movie.
The Returner is a Yamakaze movie. I think it's like his second movie. Yeah.
Okay. Hated it.
Did you see the Lupin, the animated Lupin movie?
I haven't seen
Fantastic.
It. Hated Returner when I saw it. There was this huge hype for it on back in the day. I'd see it would be on every 80 or was a Columbia DVD trailer and everything.
Yeah.
Finally got to see it, and I was like, al dente. What does this have to do with anything? Like,
you know why? Because they put that transforming jet and everything. And you thought that's what the movie was going to be. Instead, it was this kind of crime boss, kind of had like a versus feel on a big budget at times.
It reminds me of what was that other movie, K-20? That had a lot of hype behind it back in the day.
The
No,
what was it? You're not talking about the Stephen Chow movie, are you?
K-20, the masked guy.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
that one. What other one? Casshern got a bunch of hype back in the day.
I look. I will defend Catherine. I do love Catherine, even though it does not resemble anything like the anime or
we should
manga that
we should
came
do
before it.
we should do
I do
Casshern
love.
for yeah.
We should actually. We should do Catherine. I love Catherine. Yes, it kind of falls apart at the end, but you want to talk about a visually scrumptious movie?
Yeah,
Catherine.
yeah.
Catherine's delightful, and it has one of my favorite action sequences in the middle of the movie that just jams that Blackhorn song as he's just like running through, just destroying like all these retro robots. It's fantastic. And it's the highlight of the movie, though. I'll say that. But no, yeah, like I've seen a few. I haven't watched his whole catalog. The Parasite movies I thought were pretty good. I haven't watched his Doraemon movie, but the fact that I know some people say, well, he's kind of like the George Lucas, or he's like kind of like Spielberg of Japan. I'm like, if anything, he has more in line with Danny Boyle than anybody else, because Danny Boyle does not make the same movie twice, and he's made just about every genre there is at this point. So, I know people are calling for him to do another one. I would say no. I would say
Another
this movie stands on its own. I don't want to see more, because you know why? Then you're gonna have to start explaining some things, especially how in the hell Noriko survives a nuclear shockwave, pretty much unharmed. I mean, there's bandages on her, but there's nothing. There's no scars or anything like that. The first time I saw that when the movie ended in Japan, I turned to Jessica and I'm like, okay, anybody else see that? Yeah, I mean, like, come on, you're asking a lot. She's like, yeah, even at the screening, like, it was, how the hell is this girl surviving? But watching a couple more times, it's like, oh, it has to do with the G cells, has to do with the regeneration. So I'm like, if you come back
to this day, the first time we talked about this movie, you saw it and you said G cells were a thing.
Yeah.
You specifically said G cells. Every time that I've seen this movie since, even the black and white version, G cells are nowhere to be mentioned. Fragments.
Yes, the fragments, all that's it's lame enough to explain it.
Fragments that are potentially hazardous, I think, is the line I read.
Yes.
Nothing about G cells.
Well, we see that they have regenerative properties. I mean, it's literally played out as part of the battle plan, because they're like, well, if he can heal, we have to hurt him enough that he can't heal faster than we can hurt him.
But you're telling me somewhere out there, there's a version of this movie that says G cells.
That's what I saw.
Can't confirm or deny. Got it.
So, but I'm also saying that yes, I guarantee that plays a part in her miraculous recovery, which means that there's probably other people out there with the weird black crap coursing up her neck. I mean, that's essentially as close to like a Japanese version of the ending of Inception as you're going to get. Like, yeah, I don't think you can come back and do a sequel. I love the Toho's kind of making just these standalone movies. I know people have asked like, well, they should do another Shin. It's like, you know what? There are times, and I've said this because you watch the first 5 Transformers movies, and after 2, you can tell Michael Bay's like, I don't want to do this anymore, but they keep driving truckloads of money and offer me allow me to do other movies that I want to do. So I will keep cranking these things out, even though I don't want to do it. Sometimes just let a good thing rest. Yamakasi, If you ever wants to come back to it, I'm pretty sure Toho will be like, yes, fine, go ahead, go back. But let someone else try. Let others have their chance. Take your time. And, I think the world that this movie established is good where it's at because now, like I said, you're going to have to explain things. Just like going back to Shin, you're going to have to explain things. What the hell is that crap coming out of his tail? Will he ever unthaw? Like all this other, like no, like we can't. Like move on to the
Well,
next thing. Go the
well,
Millennium Era, and each movie is its own little universe.
technically, we have gone back to the Shin twice, but
Oh
that's
yes, this is true.
technically,
Technically,
yeah. It's been. I think the actor who comes out in all three has confirmed that he is playing the same character.
yes.
Without without spoiling, go out and watch the Shin trilogy.
Watch
Um,
Shin Ultraman and watch Shin Kamen Rider.
oh God, love it. Um,
Yeah.
so where would you like to see? What would you like? Where would you go from here? Would you like another movie in the same universe? Would you like you said you wanted to do another standalone? Would you want to introduce a different monster? What would you do?
Yeah, I think we're over. I mean, two. The Toho's last two big offerings have been standalone. I've seen some people argue it's like, well, it kind of works better that way. I'm like, there's only so many allegories you can hammer Godzilla on his own. Um, like I said, it's got to be very original. Like again, I'll give Takashi Yamakaze his due because he found a take. Like this movie isn't even so much about Godzilla. It's about the characters, and Godzilla just happens to be the driving point to them. Like this, I mean, and the small scale of it all, like the fact that the military is not really intervening, and it's like it's a it's of the people having to take this thing down on their own. Like yes, that's a great spin. Um, you know, Shin Godzilla was pretty much a stand-in for the 311 quake. So
Mm.
I maybe maybe let the single films rest unless you got something huge that it's going to be a slam dunk like this. Let's play with some other toys. You know, I know
I,
that the legendary movies are Godzilla's being the superhero version, but you can explore. And I think especially now that the bar is raised, you can explore more with either the classic monsters or make something new. You don't have
yes,
to keep going back to the well. You can always make something new. It's part of the reason why I'm looking forward to Godzilla and Kong. There's something new there. So
it's a lot new there.
yes,
Personally, I think I would like to see a new Rodan, a standalone Rodan.
I would love. Look, I
I
love Rodan.
yeah,
Rodan is probably my favorite non Godzilla Toho movie. It's between that and War of the Gargantuas, but I think
oh yeah.
Rodan.
I mean, have you
I think
seen?
Rodan edges it out. That
Have you seen this? How good
yeah.
this movie is?
If those two, there's a reason why those two are boxed together in that classic media box because they are the best. Like those are the two best. No one's ever gonna like people argue Mothra. I'm like Mothra's fine. Rodan though, Rodan's brilliant because it's two movies. It's exactly
A
like how Quentin
slasher movie.
Tarantino wrote. It starts as a slasher movie and then turns into a giant monster movie, which is utterly insane and absolutely brilliant, and it works on every single level. I love popping in Rodan. The effects, the first time use of Technicolor, just everything pops. Ooh, God, yes, I would love a great new take on Rodan. I think that's where Toho's next big goal is like, okay, we can do this with Godzilla. Can we solo another monster and not do it like we did with Mothra, where we just cut the budget and we're just making these kiddie fantasy movies? Like, I would legitimately like to see Toho try to, you can do a couple of the other, and there's other characters besides the big four that you can do. So,
Could you
but
imagine them
yeah,
doing a period piece for Etrigan?
oh my god, I would love to see it. Like when like from where the book took place, or like back in the '60s again, like the movie took place, or doing a
Well,
1940s. like a World War II Atragon.
Yes, yeah, because Etrigan was developed for the war.
World War II.
Yeah,
You know, I do love a good alternate universe kind of movie, and I would love to see what would happen if Japan had Atragon and entered the war. Like, that would be an interesting take to do with it. You don't need Manda, you don't need the Undersea Kingdom. Like, just do like a war movie. See how that goes. I like that. Um,
Rodan though. A Rodan and a surprise Rodan movie would be a lot of fun.
Rodan would be a hell of a lot of fun. I think if done right, especially now with the effects that you can do. I think Rodan would work well. I have always wanted a proper third entry in the Frankenstein series. We had Frankenstein Conquers the World. We had War of the Gargantuas. Now we have to have Frankenstein and the Gargantuas face off against one another. Fathers versus sons, if you will. Like, really get into like kind of the biblical allegories that that film kind of lays out.
And then they team up to fight a giant octopus.
A giant octopus, or some sort, or one of the many Baragon suits.
All four Baragons come out. 5, sorry, 6. No, geez, how many are there? A lot.
Yeah, there's quite a bit. Yeah, what? There was 3 alone in Ultra Q, then like another 3 more in Ultraman. So yeah, there's an exceptional amount. But we digress. It is the 70th anniversary. The years were already in February, so I'm kind of hoping Toho has something planned. I don't know if they do, but this, an Oscar win would be a nice cherry on top to really get Godzilla's 70th birthday going. I do believe they have a very strong chance of winning, considering the other nominees. I think their only real competition, in my opinion, is the creator. And wouldn't it be ironic if Gareth Edwards won an Oscar in the because he really, he made his career on giant monster movies, and going against Godzilla, there's just a little weird irony there.
My favorite part of the creator was the.
With what?
Hello?
I'm sorry, breaking up there a little bit. There you go.
Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you.
Okay. My favorite part of the creator was the monkey with the bazooka scene, and that's the only thing I remember out of that movie.
The movie was made on $80 million, and the whole thing was shot with a $4,000 camera from Best Buy. That's the big thing about that movie. So, it's more of a technical achievement than anything else. But I think Godzilla -1 has a feel good story behind it. Like, that is a celebration that you could have, like, this little Japanese movie that could against like the Hollywoods. Like, they nominated Napoleon. I have no idea why you would nominate Napoleon when it's like 3 dozen other big effects movies that came out this year, and then you nominate Napoleon. Like, the effects, I'm pretty sure, there's some blending of like the time periods, but they're not great. That movie's not that great either. Like, I had my issues with Napoleon. That said, I think Guardians is probably the only other one, but there are times the effects in that movie look a little rough too. But I think Godzilla does stand a legitimate chance just because of the budget and kind of the feel-good nature of like, hey, this little foreign movie that could. I think the Academy's into that now, especially after last year with Everything Everywhere All at Once pretty much sweeping everything. So, a couple of weeks, we'll know. We'll find out.
Oh, it's the first time maybe.
I'm hoping. I'm pulling for them, man. They deserve every bit of it. I think it was a team of like 35 people.
Something crazy.
And there's like that, yeah, and it's only like 106 shots, which is bonkers. Like. So that if everything should tell Hollywood, hey, and I've seen a million puff pieces about this already. Like, all the wrong ideas being taken from Godzilla -1. I'm like, no. Here's the main thing. Stop relying on CG as a crutch. Use it for what it's meant for. I quote the great Roger Ebert on his commentary track of Dark City, a fantastic movie. I love Dark City to death.
Wow.
He loved Dark City so much. He's like, I want to come in and just do a critic's commentary.
Roger Ebert liked the genre movie.
Oh, I remember watching that episode. He could not praise this movie enough. He could not. And not only that, that's the theatrical version. The director's cut is an even better version of the movie. Like, when was the last time you watched Dark City?
It's been at least 10 years. At least 10 years.
It's a freaking... Okay.
All
right, but anyway.
10 years ago.
To quote the great Roger Ebert, and this will end this on, Dark City relies on its effects, but it only relies on them to move the story forward and not just for spectacle. And not only that, but it's not relying on CG for everything. It is using the whole swath of effects, miniatures, force perspective, everything in between, makeup. So that is how effects should be used. Drive the story forward. And Takashi Yamazaki clearly did that with -1. And that is the lesson that I think Hollywood needs to start learning from all this. Like, don't crutch on the computer. Figure it out in camera, and if you can't do it in camera, then go to the CG and don't overdo it. So, but I don't think they'll learn that lesson. They never tend to. So, all right. Well, on that note, Godzilla -1 color. Great. This is a fantastic way to wrap out this insane roller coaster that has been the -1 tour. I mean, look, Arian, it was supposed to be for 1 week.
Hell of a ride, man. Hell of a ride.
1 week, and now we're 2 months in. It felt like the Itchy and Scratchy movie coming to an end. After 9 Academy Awards and 4 Tony nominations, a year in theater, it's finally going out. So, on that note, you can find us on X at the Kaiju Kingdom, Instagram at the Kaiju Kingdom, Facebook.com/the Kaiju Kingdom podcast. And Arian, we also do a show as well. What show is that?
We do a show called Kamen Kaizers. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. It's hilarious. It's funny. You'll cry. You'll scream. It's a great listen on the way to and from work.
Yep. And
also,
what are we doing?
What are we doing tomorrow? Tomorrow we're going to go see Guyver 2 with David Hayter in person.
Yeah. And Steve Wang.
Sorry.
Yes.
That's. I'm like it's like Christmas tomorrow. This is.
Oh yeah. You have no idea how hyped I am. I'm almost done. I think in the upcoming episode, I'm working on it. But there's a brand new book out called Budget Biomorphs: The Making of the Guyver Movies. I gotta give it to Arian. I'm almost done reading it. I gotta give it to Arian, but we're working on getting the author to come on. So we're gonna have our first interview, Kamen Kaizers, in the next coming weeks. So looking forward to that. But yeah, we got some other fun stuff we're gonna be watching too. So we just watched Razorback. So if you love giant pigs on the loose and with a 1980s aesthetic, listen to that episode because, man, we love this movie. So it's called Kamen Kaizers. It is on the Kaiju Kingdom podcast feed. So if you subscribe to this show, you get that show as well. And our YouTube is up and running in full swing. I am putting out content just about every day. I'm still working my way through. We have over 100 episodes of the show that have to go up. I think we got about no more than like 20. So I am working my way through getting the archives up and getting the rest of the Kamen Kaizer episodes up too. For those who don't want to bother to stream or download, you can watch it right on eBay to your heart's content. So that will do it for... Oh, you got anything else?
Watch it on eBay? What'd you say?
Oh, watch it on YouTube. I'm sorry.
Guys, if you haven't been watching The Coffers, man, this is amazing. That's another show that we do on the YouTube channel, specifically just for YouTube.
And you're gonna be adding to it tomorrow, pretty soon, right? Yes,
very soon. Coffers is a great review review show where Chris goes his way to sketchy neighborhoods to find new toys And then he finds some really cool stuff as well. And then he goes to really sketchy neighborhoods like Little Tokyo to find. Just kidding.
To find stuff for Arian to add
Thank
to his
you.
collection. So, no, actually, on that note, you got something coming up. I just got a brand new box from Japan. We're gonna do a quick unboxing on that one. So stay tuned. There's a lot of stuff coming on that as well. And then I'm working our way through our what I'm calling our on location visits. So the rest of Japan. I just put my trip to the
That was
Seaman.
wonderful.
Yes, with my good friend Kazuki. Shout out to Kazuki. I know he's listening. He's good people. So, and he's the one that sent the box. So all credit to Kazuki. He sent me a box of goodies. So we're gonna crack that bad boy open this weekend. And I'll fill it so you can all see the wonderful stuff that he sent. So that is youtube.com at the Kaiju Kingdom podcast. That is our handle on there. If you want to like and subscribe, we would welcome that. But it is a free country, so we can't make you do anything you don't want to do. But if you want to, thank you. So, on that note, for myself and
Arian Rosa.
Thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for watching if you're watching on YouTube. And we'll see you next time.
Bye. Have a good night.